As I was saying, today's a good day. It's your boy, Coach Vic, certified land investor. Glad to be here with you. Hopefully, you're having a good week. It's hump day. So today, we're going to ask and answer some questions that you guys have. Now, I'll make sure to go through my email and stuff. I can do it again real quick. But I just want to make sure that everybody is getting the help and level of support that I'm able to give. But yeah, let's make this happen. Now, again, whether you're watching live, you're watching a replay, let me know what you see, what you hear, because I want to make sure everything is coming in loud and clear. There's no interruptions. But today we got some questions dealing with, let's see, what my successful students do, how they become successful, my county research process, and then I guess this kind of goes along with that. This is a vast country. How do I go from a whole country to pinpointing where I want to invest in land? Now, if that sounds interesting to you, let me know. Say so in the comments, whether you're watching live or a replay. And if you're watching this live, and you have a question, feel free to ask while I'm in the middle of this, whether it's about what I'm talking about or anything else land investing related. I'll be glad to answer it for you. This is what I'm here for. I love doing these Q&As. It kind of puts me on the spot a bit, and I kind of enjoy that. So without further ado, let me read this question. When you are getting started, could you describe what your successful students do well that make the biggest difference in their success? So again, when you are getting started, could you describe what your successful students do well that makes the biggest difference in their success? Well, that's pretty simple to answer. And I will break that down in a couple of different ways. All right, so I'll give you the overview, then I'll kind of drill into it. First, hunger. They need a hunger to want to succeed. Second, they need to have the time to put into learning a new skill. And third, they need to have a no excuse mentality. All right, so again, hunger, the time to put in the work, and a no excuse mentality. All right, so let me go through this first. All right, the first thing is the hunger. What do I mean by hunger? Well, let's keep it real. Let's keep it real. How many of you have, it could be you, it could be someone you know, and it doesn't got to be with land, but it could be with anything. You got an idea. It could be for making money. It could be for improving something at your job. It could be for a million different things. And you're excited about it in the moment, but as soon as you find some resistance, it doesn't seem that good of an idea, right? It's not as easy to see that within ourselves, but maybe you have a friend, a cousin, a sibling, a parent. They're like, oh yeah, we're going to do this, or I'm going to do that. You know, I'm going to join this MLM, or I'm going to become an affiliate marketer, or I'm going to learn how to do ads on Facebook, or I'm going to get my first rental property. And then the roadblocks come. Now for land, those roadblocks can be as simple as, hey, I put out a mailer and nothing happened. Or I'm texting a bunch of people and everybody keeps saying no and are laughing at my offers. Or it could be something as simple as, I'm struggling with finding an area, right? Have you been there before? When people come to these types of roadblocks, then they find that the excuses start to, actually, I wouldn't call them excuses because they don't even seem like excuses at the time. Just life gets in the way, so to speak. And one thing I tell all of my students, hey, life is going to get in the way. That don't mean you shrink. You got to rise to the occasion. So sometimes it's not land related. It could be, hey, you know, I really want to get this work done, but I got to watch my kid tonight. Or I got to pick so-and-so up from this place or from school or whatever like that. When you don't have a hunger, those things, while they are important, they will throw you off track, and it's very easy for you to stay off track because the hunger is not there. See, everybody wants to be successful and wealthy and have all this money and have generational wealth and start a legacy and walk away from their jobs and all these other things. But very few are willing to do the work that's required to do that. So to put it in sports terms, you know, you see your favorite basketball players. My favorite player is Steph Curry, even though we have totally different games, but the way he shoots the ball, I'm always in awe. But as a basketball player and coach, I know how much work it takes for him to get to that level. However, when I'm playing pickup games with the younger generation, I'm a middle-aged man now, which is kind of crazy to say. But when I play pickup games with the younger generation, when I am coaching and things like that, and they try to do what they see people on TV do, and I ask them, well, have you practiced that? Sometimes they say yes, sometimes they say no. And then I'm like, well, how often? How hard did you do it? And then it's every single time. Oh yeah, they tried it, they practiced it for a day or two. And it wasn't even like that intense of a practice where they can really, really put themselves through the paces. Well, this happens all the time in land. And without that hunger, you're going to quit right away. So obviously, if you quit before anything happens, there's no way you can be successful. Now, the second thing, the time to do it. As I said, with the hunger, you got to, make things happen. Now, with that said, if you're working like 12-hour days, you got to be, a parent when you get home, you're going through school, you got all these things happening. It's not the time for you to do land investing. You just don't have the time to dedicate to it. You'll know that because most of your time or your thoughts are about the things that are not land investing. They're just something else. And, yeah, they're important too, right? We got to work to eat. You have kids, you got to take care of them. If you're in school, you probably paid a bunch of money to be in school, and you're in school to accomplish some sort of goal or task or whatever it is. Extremely important. I'm not going to knock those things just because it's not land. But with that said, if you don't have the time to put in the work, you're not going to be successful. And you can't fool yourself and think you have more time than what you do. Now, if you're able to reprioritize certain things, again, having that hunger to really want to make this happen and being aggressive going after it, sure, great. That's what it takes, because again, life will get in the way, like I said, and maybe the land stuff doesn't trip you up. But again, the things outside of land, right? Family things, relationships, your health, all that stuff that can get in the way. And if you don't have the time to actually put into learning these skills, and it takes a little bit of time at first, you're not going to get anywhere. And the final thing is, I didn't write it down. I was going off the top of my head. Oh, that's right. A no excuse mentality. I'm good at memory. I got a good memory. And what do I mean by that? Well, it all related, right? When things get in the way or things don't happen, excuses come. A lot of excuses come. And it's funny, like even with myself, when I find myself struggling with something or just like, oh, this seems like it's going to be a ton of work, instead of just putting my head down, start to work or delegate a task, I get easily distracted. I'm like, oh, damn, I got to do this. I got to do the due diligence. I don't feel like doing that right now. Oh, but look at all these dishes I need to wash. Or damn, I gotta start calling up a bunch of people. I don't feel like calling them up right now. I'm lazy. Ooh, look at these math problems I could just be doing for no reason at all. Oh, damn, I gotta find a new area. I don't feel like finding a new area. Huh. Well, look at all these YouTube videos I can watch on something completely unrelated. You guys see what I'm talking about? It's very easy to make an excuse when things are tough. Hell, a lot of the people, when I tell them, hey, man, my services ain't cheap. Like I lose more money to coaching than I do making it, for the fact that if I'm coaching, then I'm not working my own business, and my own business is a lot more lucrative than coaching. So when I say, hey, you need to find a way to pay for this, and people can't figure it out, they start making, well, I don't have it, I don't have this, I don't have that. They're making excuses instead of being solution oriented. I'm like, well, okay, I don't have it in my bank, obviously. My credit card's maxed out. What can I do? Like, when I hear that type of attitude, I know they're going to be successful at some point. So again, it's a hunger to really do well. And I guess this kind of encompasses everything. It's the time to actually do the work, because you could be hungry all you want, but if you don't have the time, it won't matter. And the no excuse mentality. When things happen, you get thrown off course, a fire does happen and you got to put it out. And let's say you actually set aside some time to do some land investing work. Something happens, so you couldn't do it during that time. Do you like, well, I'll just do it tomorrow? Or do you like, nope, I just got to find another time? When you don't have the money to find a property, do you just give up? It's like, well, that property's not for me, or do you find a way to pay for it? When you come to a weird or sticky title issue, do you kind of give up, or you're like, I'm going to figure out a way and I'm going to learn this for a future lesson? So when I see those students have those three things, I usually tell on the phone call. If I hear those things on the phone call, I'm like, yeah, you should join a group. I think you'll be a good addition. If I don't hear that in the phone call, then I'm like, maybe this ain't for you. I'll still tell you about it just in case, but I know you're not about that life. So, you can let the price or whatever be the excuse so you feel better. But in reality, I know you're just not hungry enough. And again, that's not a knock. Not everybody's supposed to be a land investor, just like not everybody's going to be in the NBA, just like not everybody's going to be a CEO, just like not everybody's going to be a parent, right? You're going to find your own lane, but just understand it. Don't have that excuse mentality. Hopefully that answers that question. All right. So far, so good. We have any questions? Hey, all right. Yeah, everybody experience knowledge, action, and perseverance for sure, for sure. Got to organize yourself. That's most definitely. All right. So next question. Could you describe your county research process and what are the most important things to consider? Actually, I can do that. And if you're in this group or you've gotten my training, I kind of do go over that a little bit in a little bit more detail than what I can provide at this moment, but I'll give you a little bit more detail about my thing. All right, so currently, this is what I'm doing. And this is obviously not earth-shattering, groundbreaking, or it's not even original. Every land investor worth their weight in salt does something similar. All right, but if you're new, then great. I'm glad to be the one to introduce this to you. So the first thing I do is I look at the areas that are hot. How do you find hot areas? Well, it doesn't just mean that a lot of land deals are happening. I mean, if you can find that early on, great. But this is the process to find that. What you're looking for is where are people moving to, or where are people already there? First thing, right? You need sales to make this business go. So you can't flip without sales. Now, does that mean that you got to go to a very populated state or county or whatever? No, not at all. Like my first deals were in the middle of the desert, like hundreds of people. That was it. Just hundreds of people that were there. Not thousands, not just hundreds, right? When you say small town, small town. All right, so, but that's what I like to do. Now, the rule of thumb for a lot of people is like, you know, you're close to a major metro area. I like to also include a large landmark as well, not in addition to, but like if you're not in a major metro area, then an area with a large landmark. So, for example, the Grand Canyon is not in a major metro area, but it is an area that people are familiar with, even if they've never been there. They know the Grand Canyon. Got it. Why do I want that? Well, down the line when I'm selling, it's going to be easier to get people to these locations to check it out, or even have people interested in it because there's something desirable there already. In the major metro area, obviously it's work, homes, family, schools, all those things. And so, yeah, I'm just looking for something like that. Now, once I find that area, whether it's a major metro area or it's a, you know, major landmark, you know, obviously the closer you are to that big thing, the more expensive the land, because the demand is up. Like I live in San Francisco. If you're looking for land in San Francisco, well, number one, you're high on crack, you ain't gonna find it. But if you do, it's gonna cost millions and millions of dollars because everybody wants it. However, if I drive out a couple of hours to Lake County, California, which is about 2 hours, is it northeast, northwest, northeast of here? A lot more affordable land. I know because I flipped some land in Lake County, California. So the point is this, I just don't want to be too far from that. I want to be too close, but not too far. Close enough where it matters and people go like, oh yeah, you're not too far from this, but not so far close where like the prices are astronomical, because the name of the game is buying property for cheap. Like, yeah, I can buy something for a retail price, but that's not how I make money unless I was going to develop it or something like that. I make money by buying it for cheap and selling it for retail. So if I buy it for 15 cents, I want to sell it for $1. Wash, rinse, repeat. All right. So there's that. Now, with that said, a lot of times when people don't know what to do to like, okay, there's so many metro areas and there's so much of this, something like, okay, great. Take a major airport. Pick one out of a hat. It doesn't matter which one, right? It's got to be an international airport. You know, it can't be a little tiny mom and pop with the little propeller planes going in and out of. We do have those still here in California as well. But it's got to be a major. And then so about 90 minutes, you know, drive from that airport, usually is a good radius. Obviously, the closer you are, the more money you're going to need to invest, but you get the point. If not the airport, again, the major landmark, scenery, whatever it is. Now, once I am there and I'm in that area, now I'm going to start to search for little things that tells me, hey, there's a lot of good land here. And in general, that is obviously land sales, if you can find them, not always the case, but if you can have land sales, that's always good. What else do I look for? Well, I try to see what type of lifestyle people in that area like to live. If it's a very urban place, land, I'm not saying land won't sell, but you know, it won't be the same as that people are looking to get away from those urban places. So that could be a thing too, where it's like, it is very urban, but you know, 90 minutes out, it's very rural and people are looking to get away from that urban sprawl. So, you know, there's that. But in general, that is it. Once you're in those different pockets, now it's up to you to find the area that works. And what things I like to look for as well, besides the major stuff, sales and, you know, the current market conditions and things like that. How easy is it to navigate that county's website? How easy is it for me to get information on the people who own land there? How easy will it be for me to actually do a deal there? Because some places it's just a little bit more of a headache to work than others, right? Like certain places in California, you got to pay for that information. And other places, the information is free to like look up deeds and things like that. Sometimes I do want a higher difficulty level because I know other people won't want to deal with that. Other times, like, I don't want to deal with that. I want something simple, easy, make a couple of deals and get out. So it just kind of depends, right? And then here's the thing. No matter how much research you're doing, no matter what your, how great your data is, it will never be perfect because you're dealing with human beings. So let's say you find an area, it's like, oh, it's not too far from a major metro area. A lot of land sales are happening here. There's a lot of acreage that is just unclaimed and undeveloped. I'm ready to go. You send out a mailer campaign or a text campaign, or you're doing cold call campaign, or you send out a carrier pigeon. You send out the carrier pigeon and you get crickets. That's because you're dealing with humans. You don't know what people want. You don't, I'm not a knock on you. I'm just saying, like, the timing sometimes is off. Maybe because of your research, you thought you can offer X, but in reality, everybody in the area wants more for their property. So maybe at the time, it's just not a good investment because people want too much and they want closer to retail price, leaving you no margin. Or it's still plenty of margin, but you're a cheap ass and you don't want to pay it. Either way, you don't know until you start getting out there, putting those offers out there and taking a look at what you're getting back. That makes sense? So that's my county research process. It's very simple. And when you're in my coaching group, I show you how quickly it is. Like when I help you get started, obviously I show you the methods and everything. But again, it's also in my training video. It's there. It's already there. You guys have it. Just check it out. If you have any questions, let me know. But when you get good at it, and it doesn't take long to get good at it, you just spend a little bit of time. This process to find a new area, 10 minutes. That's it. Now, the beautiful thing is I don't go countywide. I like to go town specific because the more specific I get, the more targeted my offers are. The more targeted my offers are, the more success I have with investing. Because I give these, like, I like to do an offer range. And if I have this really broad offer range, or I'm offering prices in very low desirable areas to places that are high desirable, I'm not going to get any responses. So think about it. Every town and every county, every state, they got good parts of town. They got bad parts of town. If I look at everything as a big group and I average it all out, well, there's going to be a chance I overpay for crappy property or under offer for good property. When I'm specific, I don't have that problem. The high dollar areas get the high dollar offer. The low dollar areas get the low dollar offer. The high dollar areas get a certain type of treatment because they're getting a lot more, I guess, there's a lot more competition. So I got to stand out. The low dollar, like, I don't care as much because I don't care about the low dollar deals anymore like I used to. I'll still take them if they fall in my lap, but I don't go after those as aggressively. And it also helps me segregate my list. So hopefully that answered that question of the county research process. It's making sense. Any questions? What's going on with you guys? Any questions? We good? I think we're good. Awesome. All right. Final question. Final question. Out of the whole nation, how you determine a good location to purchase land? What tools or website do you use to use to land on a gold mine? I'm not sure what. Oh, okay. To land on a gold mine. Got it. All right. So I kind of went into a little bit of this in that second question, but the third question does ask about some of the tools I like to use. This is a great question. So again, when I'm looking at the whole nation, I look at, major landmarks or metro areas, and I just kind of start there and I kind of branch out, I spiral out from there. Now, what tools do I use to determine? Well, I like the free stuff, the easily accessible stuff. My favorite tool is Zillow because it shows you not only current market activity, so basically who's listing price, who's listing properties. It shows you how many sales were there. And then there's some couple of tricks that I learned. Thanks to one of my group, first people in the group, shout out to PJ. Even in non-disclosure states, Zillow has a way that is right front and center that I kept just glossing over right in front of my face to show you what prices were at least they were listed for and what somebody agreed to negotiate on. So what I mean by that, let's just say a property is listed for $50,000 and it goes under contract under 50,000. Now, does that mean that the property sold for 50,000? Not necessarily. They could have been like, hey, I'll offer you 45, and the seller accepts it. But the point is, I know around 50,000 is my benchmark. I know I'm around there for that price. So when I'm doing comps and things like that, I kind of have a good idea, because before I was just saying, okay, I know something sold here, but it doesn't say the price. So shout out to PJ for that one. What else? Why else do I like Zillow? Well, it has a map that shows you the different dots and location of where those properties are. So with that, I can kind of get a good idea of where I should be targeting my outreach campaign so I can get property in that same hot area. Because you'll notice certain places like account has some lots here, some lots there. And you're like, okay, great. But then you mess around and you get a lot in between the two high areas, and you're like, well, damn, like it seemed like this was a good area. Why isn't everybody buying like before? And you realize, oh, because I'm in this dead zone that no one cares about. Let me see if I can find you guys something. Cherokee County, Georgia. I'm gonna find something. Let me share my screen with y'all so y'all can see this. All right, let's see. Oops. Give me a second. Share the screen. All right, can y'all see my screen? All right, great. All right, so right now these are the properties that are for sale all over the county. This is a little too much for me, but let's just say in, let's see, Woodstock, Waleska. Let's just type in Waleska County, Waleska, Georgia. Great. So as you can see, what properties are for sale right now? This is the area that's hot, at least for sale. I don't know if people are getting what they want for it, but they're at least listing them. Now let's see, this one got listed 4 days ago. And in 4 days, 112 views. That sounds like somebody's interested. This is only 4 hours ago. 22 views just in 4 hours. So these areas, get out of here. These areas, I clicked on an ad like a dummy. These areas, or this area in Waleska, seems to be very popular. Right? So I'm like, all right, I see what people like. Let me get that. Now, again, just because they're offering for sale doesn't mean that they're going to get it. So I can just do this, sold. And look at that. The area that was hot for sales, it was hot for sales. You know, for things on market, off, you know, things that are already sold, they're already here. Right? So I'm going to be, if I was looking at this Waleska, this is the area I would be focused on. So I will go through, I will find out what subdivision this is, go through, get all the property from this certain subdivision, and start hitting people up, knowing that I'm going to sell it because this seems to be very popular around Lake Arrowhead. This is the #1 tool I like to use just to give me a good idea. Now, once I do this, then I'll go to LandWatch. I'll go to Redfin. I'll go to, Trulia is Zillow these days. And I would just kind of see, does the data that they have confirm what I've seen from Zillow? And usually it does, because it's the same people listing over and over again. And it works well. Now, what else can you do? Well, if you know about the area you want, go ahead and hit up a real estate agent or a land broker and ask them, hey, where are your buyers looking for land? Because I want to sell to them, right? They're just handed to you on a silver platter. Why? Because they know if you got something that they can actually buy, they're going to get a commission and they didn't have to do any work. And if they can kind of dictate the terms in that sense, we're like, okay, we want land here. We want it to be a certain size. I'm not saying you got to do what they say, because so many times people will say they want something, you get it for them, they don't want it no more because they're a bunch of clowns. But you got to get an idea like, all right, well, if they want this area and, a couple of different real estate agents kind of say the same thing, you're on to something. So again, the tools, Zillow, Redfin, Realtor.com, LandWatch especially, because you can see comps. And then offline, just go ahead and start talking to brokers, land brokers, and real estate agents. Awesome. All right. Well, hopefully you found this useful. I gave y'all a lot of game, more game now than realizing. But what I can't do is give you guys everything in a small 30-minute live stream. Now, if you're interested in learning more how to do this properly and actually make money from it and not spin your wheels and not reinvent the wheel and not get caught with property that won't sell or has liens on it or some other issues with title or whatever it is, or maybe just not overpaying, hit me up. Hit me up. There's a couple more spots in my coaching group. I can only handle so many people. A couple more people just joined recently, so that's great. The people who joined in the last couple of months, they're hitting the ground running. It's very exciting times. And in this, what a quote unquote recession, a lot of people are looking to get rid of their property. This is the best time to clean up. Like, you talking about getting property for pennies on the dollar. You don't know how cheap property is going nowadays, especially at the holidays, right? I mean, it doesn't just stop at the holidays, but I'm just saying, like, this is the time. So take heed, young Kimosabi, on what I just talked about, and take this information and run with it, because if you don't, then somebody else will. And granted, there is enough land for everybody, but it's very easy to continue momentum in this business than it is to kind of start from scratch. Okay. Any questions? All right, let me see. SEO for marketing strategy. Does it work well to find motivated sales in the industry section? Those thoughts on creative financing fits in as strategy land investing. All right, so creative financing, for the most part, what I do is just when I'm selling, I can offer in terms, so down payment, monthly payment. That usually works pretty well for most people, especially in this time. When it comes for buying, I do know people who actually do a similar thing for buying and selling. So what do I mean by that? They will actually buy the property on terms for that land investor's price. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, they're buying it for $5,000. They're going to give the seller a down payment of $1,000 and maybe pay him like $300 a month for a certain amount of months. Then they'll go and sell that property, and in their contract, they'll say, I have the right to sell it for, let's say, for $10,000. And they'll give them a down payment, I don't know, 12,000, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, whatever it is, and have their monthly payment be more than the monthly payment they're owing to the seller. And then they keep the money in between. So it works out pretty well for them. That's kind of creative. Other people, they'll get a funder to help them create or finance deals. So the funder will be like, hey, I'll pay you the deal, but we're partners in this, 30-70 or something like that, depending on the funder and all that. You can also do note buying, or you can sell your note. So again, you sell on terms. So let's just say you have the property, you're selling it for $20,000. The person paid you a down payment and they're paying you monthly. Well, you can sell that note to a note buyer. They'll buy that from you. They'll give you a lump sum of cash. And so they can take over that note. So that's the different creative financing options that are out there with land investing. And then that's if you don't develop the land or lease it to somebody else or anything like that. That's the beauty about owning these properties. You can do what you want with them. And the only limit is your own imagination. Subdividing them so you can, a big property, make it into a bunch of smaller ones so it's more accessible to people, adding roads. There's a lot you can do when you own the property. SEO for I don't do any SEO because for the most part, I offer my land on different marketplaces who will already have the SEO built in. And then at the same time, I will pay for ads. I will pay for boosting my ads. I pay membership for LandWatch. So again, they do all that for me. I ain't got to worry about it. But one thing I will do is pay for also offline techniques, right? There's a bunch of offline techniques that I can do as well if the online stuff isn't working for a particular property. And, at the end of the day, the land is going to get sold. So yeah, SEO, I mean, to keep it real with you, even outside of land, I mean, SEO is important, but I don't think it's that important, like how it used to be, because you can just buy your way into attention. Like, it's faster, it's easier, because like to do SEO right, you need a lot of time. You got to understand the current algorithm for Google. No one talks about Bing or Yahoo or any other search. And that takes time. And I'm like, I'm trying to make money today. I got to eat today. I ain't trying to wait to 6 months from now and all that. So, I mean, I'm not saying SEO isn't important, but real talk, it's just easier, cheaper, and long run to just buy an ad. Obviously, you got to do it right, but you got to do SEO right too. So there you go. And said, Jeff, I'm waiting to gather all the necessary paperwork. Paperwork for what? Let's see the answer. Cool, no problem. Kyoko K. Oh, it's a Japanese name. It's pretty cool. Awesome. All right, that's it for me, y'all. Hopefully this was useful for you. I'm glad you guys were able to tune in. And again, if you need some help, hit me up. I'll be glad to help you out. But you probably need some coaching. Join a group, make some money, get your deals funded by somebody else. Celebrate. to buy and close all these deals. Okay, there you go, Jeff. I don't know what paperwork you're looking for. It's usually pretty simple, unless you get like an abstract or something to look up the title chain. But either way, go make that money. All right, y'all. It's Coach Vic. I'm out. Peace.